All right, are you guys ready for a crazy color correction? Stu and I took this on and it ended up being a 2-day process. So we wanted to take you guys through the whole thing so you can see what we did. So this was day 1, and as you can see, our client just had pitch black hair. And when I'm saying black, I mean like black. Like, she's been coloring it for 4 years. It was so dark, and she wants to start getting lighter, and our goal is going to be about a level 6-7 on the root with caramely blonde ends. We obviously knew this was going to take a while, but when I do color corrections or take clients lighter, typically my first step is to do a full highlight or a full teasy light just so I can see how they lift out. Luckily it was professional permanent colors. We didn't have to work with box color, but I love doing this just to see how the client lifts, what their hair does, and it gives me a really good idea of what we need to do on the second session. So on this first day, we did start off just doing a pretty much full highlight. As you can see here, I kind of figured that this first session would be like a subtle balayage depending on how she lifted, but it gave me a good chance to get into her hair and see what it did. So that is what we are doing here. We are using Goldwell Oxycur 30 volume with Olaplex, of course, to keep her hair healthy. This client was actually telling us that she went blonde 5 years ago and she literally fried all of her hair off to her chin. I'm going to insert a picture right here so you can see. And it's because they did it in like one day, just like bleach wash after bleach wash after bleach wash, and it was before Olaplex. So she was like, I didn't really know what Olaplex was, and they just did it. So luckily we have better technology now. Olaplex is amazing and a lifesaver. So we always include Olaplex in these transformations just so that we can keep the hair intact, because the client may get blonde hair, but it's going to be on the floor if you don't use Olaplex and do it the right way. So the first highlight is what we are doing here, and I'm going to show you what we got.
We got everything we need right here. Wine and burning chemistry. You and me alone. You and me alone. Inside of our embassy. Everything we need right here. Make me sing along. Sing along. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. Oh, watch me. Me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here.
For correction, Stu.
So a color correction is.
Those are things that she didn't bring to that.
Wait, are you recording?
Okay. All right, guys. It is day 2 of doing this hair. And you guys saw the first session, we did a highlight and she lifted pretty warm. So we're gonna go through and just knock through this permanent color and try to remove it completely. So we're using Scruples Color Delete, 30 volume, Goldwell Oxycur. I'm not as good as you were.
Using Goldwell Oxycur, they're just top chic developer.
Top chic. So we are each gonna have a bowl. We're gonna mix this up and then we're going to apply. Okay, so our first step on day 2 is to apply this color delete all over. So we are sectioning her into 4 quadrants, and then Stu and I and our 2 assistants are going to be tackling this. So we are basically just going to apply it roots to ends, because we do want to lift her roots, even her natural, out a little bit lighter. So she's like a level 6-7 on the top. That is what we are doing. So we are each taking a quadrant and just applying it. And this girl has so much hair. It's so thick. It's so long. It's amazing. But because of that, we ended up using 2 full color deletes. It was crazy. So we applied roots first. We kind of did the outline, and then we're just going to work it through the ends. And you have to remember when doing color removers like this that it's so important to make sure your saturation is on point. You want to take very fine sections and saturate fully so that you're not getting any missing pieces. You don't want to see any spots when you're lifting. Obviously, every section of hair is going to lift a little bit differently. Like her roots are going to lift differently than her mids and her ends. So we know that there's going to be unevenness, but you want that to be what happens on its own rather than because you didn't saturate enough. So it took us about 20 minutes to apply this fully, and then when we were done with that, we let it sit for 30 minutes in room temperature. I think that they discourage using heat with things like this, so we did not use any heat, but you probably could if you watched it closely, but you know, they always say not to use heat with lightener and stuff like that. It's probably the same thing. Anyway, so we let this sit, and then we went and washed her out, and the next clip you're going to see is what we got from the color correction only. We did rough dry her about 80–90%, and then we went in and did the next step. So this is the hair raw after the color delete. So obviously her roots got really yellow, and then we've got some red tones, and we still have some dark throughout there as well. So now that we have this canvas to work with, we are going to do a full highlight. And when I say full, I mean we are going to be touching every single piece of hair. So we are first starting out doing a full baby light, and we did the 4 quadrants again so we could all kind of split up the work. And I'm just doing a back-to-back baby light, but we are leaving out the very top where she lifted really yellow. We don't need to lift that anymore, so we're basically doing everywhere where it's orange, red, or dark, and we are just going to do very fine sections so it lifts as well as it can, and then we are going to do something different with the dropouts. Okay, so about every 3 to 4 foils, we ended up tipping out the ends. So we teased, and then we did the lightener, and we actually just did it on a slice, but we made sure that those slices were pretty thin. That's just gonna help us get even more lift in there. But obviously, whenever you do a highlight, you're gonna have dropouts. And because those dropouts were so red, we knew we needed to counteract that. So everything that is dropped out of those highlighted foils, we are covering in a toner right here. We are using Redken 6GN, 6T, and then a little bit of 6N, and this is just going to help counteract those red and gold tones and give us more of a neutral canvas so that the highlights have something pretty to lay against and it's not still red.
Where you wanna go, where you wanna go, stars align onto your face, pretty sweet your sour taste, make me sing along.
So we let her process for about 45 minutes to an hour. We just kept watching it. We put a little bit of heat on it towards the end. And once she was lifting to like a pretty much all over 7–8, that's when we decided to rinse her out. So that was the processing time for the highlight. And now we are going to jump into the toning process. All right, so we are applying her base color right now. Honestly, the root smudge in a situation like this makes all the difference. And we are just doing that about 3 to 4 inches down and then a little higher up in the front. We weren't trying to focus on crazy money pieces or anything because we're really just trying to even out her canvas. But you can see here that having that root color on already helps it blend better. Now I am going to be putting the Olaplex number 0 on her mids to ends. This is going to give her a little treatment and kind of help repair any damage we got during the lifting process while that root smudge sits. So I always recommend doing this to give your clients a little treatment if they are going lighter. And we have that processing while that root processes. And then when that's done, we're going to rinse it out and tone the ends with the root still on.
What did you guys
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Redken Shades, and we did 7NB, 7P, 8GI, 8B, 8T. So it's a combo of things.
Yes, so just hitting everything.
Yes.
Blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got
All right, you guys, this is the final result from session number 2. As you can see, we still have a lot of warmth, which was 100% to be expected. And luckily, this client does hair herself, and she understood the process, and she was so excited just to even be this light. So we have a really good root color. We definitely have some warmth, but we also have some highlights throughout. And of course, her hair did feel a little bit drier. We did give her a nice little health trim, but for the most part, her hair held on really, really well. Not many clients could do a full highlight, then a color remover, and then another highlight all within a few days. But her hair was able to handle it, and we told her now we're going to let her sit in this, and then in 4 to 6 weeks, we are going to do the 3rd session. So we plan on taking you guys through every step of this color correction. Don't you worry, we will film the next one and the next one if there is another one. So let us know what you thought about this video in the description box below. Don't forget to go watch Stu's videos. I will link his in the description box as well because he did one on this process as well. And let us know how you would tackle this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.
everything we need, right? Watch me.